Okay, so I'm going to put working together. And so because it's a genitive absolute, meaning that there is a pronoun over here in the same case in the genitive. So participle in the genitive, and then there's the pronoun in the genitive, which functions as the subject. So y'all, with y'all working together. With y'all working together. And then kai here, it is a genitive, meaning also, also. With y'all working together, also. And then huper plus hemon. Huper here on our behalf. And who is our behalf? Who's us? And that is Paul and his team on our behalf. And so, on our behalf, and then they say, this is the dative, instrumental dative of desis, which means prayer, by means of prayer. Okay, we have the first clause here. Well, two clauses. With y'all working together also on our behalf by means of prayer. So, here, it talks about them having the sentence of death so that they would not trust on themselves but on God, and how God delivered him and will deliver them again. And then with y'all also, with you also, on our behalf, working together on our behalf by means of prayer. So now it adds to the whole equation. We are sustained by God's power, the power of the resurrection. At the same time, God gives us his comfort, his happiness. And then also together add to it the function of prayer. God honors the prayers of those believers who are in fellowship, who are advancing in the plan of God. He listens to them and he answers their prayer. If someone is praying for you, you bet. And if that person is in fellowship, you bet that you're going to receive some prayer support. You're going to receive some provision because of that prayer. You know, little do you know that you might be associated with a positive believer, and he's praying for you all the time. She's praying for you all the time. And a lot of that support that you receive at work or whatever pressure situation that you're in, it might be because it is a answer prayer, a prayer that was offered by someone associated with you. And this tends to happen. And so God associates us with believers. If we're positive, he's gonna put you together with other believers. This is optional, but sometimes I think it's necessary so that we can advance rapidly. So he puts you with other believers who are also advancing in the plan of God. And there you are, you fulfill the function of verse 6 and verse 7, that we are comforted. I mean, if we are afflicted, it is for your comfort. If we are comforted, it is for your comfort as well. So many times you are suffering, and then you go with another believer and you tell him about it, and he gives you a little bit of comfort. Many times you do not know, but you tell your fellow believer about a problem, and you might not even know, but he might be suffering through something more serious than what you are suffering, and there he is helping you out. And this is normal. It tends to happen. We tell our other fellow believer about our suffering, and yet he is the one that's suffering more grievous, more pressure, more extreme pressure. Okay, so now we have the function of prayer here. In fact, this is going to lead us to the doctrine of prayer. It's going to take us about 2 days, so there's no rush. Okay, so with y'all also working together on our behalf, for our behalf, by means of prayer. And now we have a purpose clause, hina, plus, hina plus the subjunctive, eucharisteite. But here we have all these words in between. And this is a little bit complicated. It was complicated for me. So hina plus the subjunctive, but in between, so we're going to translate it so that, in order that, because it's hina plus the purpose clause. It's a purpose clause, obviously. Hina plus the subjunctive. In order that, and then ek plus polon plus prosopon. So hina plus, ek plus the genitive of polon and prosopon. Here's the noun, here's the adjective. Out of faces, and then here the adjective, many. Out of many faces. What does this mean? This is an idiom of prayer. So to speak, you look up to the sky asking God, and so this is answered prayer. In order that, out of many faces, and now here we're going to run into this is the nominative, yes, the nominative of charisma. So we've seen charisma before. We saw that charismaton was another name for a spiritual gift. Well, charisma also means just a gracious gift. It does not have to be the spiritual gift that we receive at the moment of salvation. Here, charisma is a gracious gift in the sense of being rescued, being rusetai. rusomai. Charisma. Okay. So we have here the article to and then charisma. And in between we have this prepositional phrase. This, when you see something in between the article and its noun, it's in the attributive position. And so the charisma, the gracious gift unto us. So eis plus the accusative of hemas, the accusative of ego, sorry. So hemas. The gracious gift unto us. Thus far we have, in order that, out of many faces, the gracious gift unto us, and now we have the verb here, which is the subjunctive of hina. Eucharistei. This is the aorist passive subjunctive of eucharisteo. And this is, eucharisteo means to give thanks, but it's in the passive voice, meaning that the subject receives the action of the verb. What is the subject? The gracious gift. The gracious gift, and so eucharisteo in the passive means may be given thanks. Given thanks. It receives the action of the verb, so that the charisma, the gracious gift unto us, may be given thanks. What does that mean? And so this is the aorist tense. Aorist tense is a constantive aorist from the point of time that you receive, you recognize the gracious gift and you give thanks to it. And the subjunctive mood, this is part of the purpose clause, it is potential. In order that, out from many faces, the gracious gift unto us may be given thanks, and then dia plus the genitive, again, of polus. Dia plus the genitive means through the many, once again. So out of many faces, the gracious gift may be given thanks through many. And then on behalf of us, huper heimon, on behalf of us. What does this mean? So through their prayer, they see that the apostles have been rusomai, have been rusetai. And so they saw that their prayers were answered, and therefore, out of many faces, the gracious gift may be given thanks. And what is be given thanks? Why is it in the passive voice? Because thanksgiving is the recognition of grace. Here is grace, you receive grace, provision, and a believer, from doctrinal understanding inside of his soul, he's able to recognize that grace. And the expression of that grace is thanksgiving. And that is what thanksgiving is the recognition of grace. After all, the word eucharisteo, we're going to go literal here. Eucharisteo is charis, grace, and then good grace, giving good grace. And so, again, the recognition of grace is grace provision. And here in this case is the charisma, the deliverance. And so you receive it with thanksgiving, and that is the recognition of grace. In order that the gracious gift may be given thanks. And that is the recognition of grace. Thanksgiving is the recognition of grace provision. And so now we have a sentence. So, working together, with y'all also working together for our benefit by means of prayer, in order that out of many faces, the gracious gift may be given thanks through many on our behalf. That was complicated. Let's begin with verse 9. Here is, try to put the whole sentence together. But we ourselves had written the sentence of death in ourselves, in order that we may be not having put our trust in ourselves, upon ourselves, but upon God who raises the dead, who rescued us out of such a great death and will rescue us, in whom we have hoped, confident expectation, that he will rescue us yet again, with y'all working together also on our behalf by means of prayer, in order that out from many faces the gracious gift may be given thanks through many on our behalf. Wow, that was a long sentence, and that puts together now the function of prayer. This is the intercessory function of prayer, where you pray for someone else. And this leads us to the doctrine of prayer.